Policy development is one of the most valuable and powerful components of Kentucky Farm Bureau membership. Our grassroots process, time and again, has a lasting impact on local, state, and national issues. Here are 3 different examples of policy developed by Kentucky Farm Bureau members that has been implemented at the local, state, and federal level. We begin in Woodford County, where a local middle school was struggling to bring strong and consistent ag education to the classroom.
The quality and the quantity of agriculture education varied from year to year. We had just gotten this new program, but unfortunately there's been either 1 to 2 new educators in the position each and every year. So it came to a point in time where site-based and leadership decided, if we're not going to have consistency here for our students or for ourselves, what's the point? The community members fought. They came to site-based meetings. They held town meetings. They plastered it all over Facebook, many different outlets to say, this works. We have students that need this program because their interests will not be catered to within the middle school environment without this program.
Kentucky Farm Bureau played a pivotal role in helping secure a permanent position for an agriculture teacher at Woodford County Middle School, ensuring that the next generation of ag leaders has access to valuable ag education.
If you have the opportunity to put your professional foot forward, like Kentucky Farm Bureau did, they took advantage of that situation. They were truly the backbone behind this movement. I feel as if the importance is to educate and advocate. And if I can make you a public speaker, an educator, an advocator for agriculture, it will live on.
Next, we head to Greenup County. IML's greenhouse is working to implement new ways of managing water, a farmer's most precious resource.
What we do with the water in the greenhouse system, because it's not outside, it has to be used every day, and you have to water here every day. We use about 6,000 to 8,000 gallons per day here at this location. You can do that with city water, but with the expense, I can still haul it cheaper, and I've got maybe not better water in the sense of it being purified and whatnot, but it's better water for the plants that we're using. And the pH is neutral, and we not have to add any chemicals to it, and it does an excellent job. And we have had some times that we've pumped our supply pretty well dry. I mean, we had one year we was down to about 1.5 feet of water, but we had enough to get us through that year.
The Kentucky Farm Bureau Water Management Working Group was established to develop recommendations enhancing the quality and quantity of water resources available to Kentucky farm families.
Anybody that is tied to water and has anything to do with water has been tied to this Water Management Working Group. And basically what that was set up so that we could look at the water supplies and resources here in the state of Kentucky because of the California situation with the drought that they've had. And we finally started getting some plans together in which the state has put a water board together. And so they're looking at it also through the legislature. They've allocated some funds for some projects across the state. And so what we're doing right now, we are working with the Water Management Group and the Phase 1 Board and Soil Conservation, and we're getting ready to build a pond on some property that we bought next door here to the greenhouse. And we're going to take all the water off the roofs, which if we get an inch of rain is about 12,000 gallons each time we get an inch of rain. And we're going to put it in that pond plus the runoff around here and then pump it back over here to the greenhouse. And that will save us a lot of money, a lot of time. Farm Bureau has spearheaded this to get it to the forefront to where it is an issue, to make it known. And we've had a lot of issues with Farm Bureaus throughout the years that they've worked on that just a basically farmer didn't know if you wasn't tied to Farm Bureau. Just like the old saying is, you never miss the water till the well runs dry, and that's so true. You never miss the water till you need it to water your cattle or to water your crops. And you know, once it's gone, then you've got a problem.
Lastly, we visit a Lyon County Farm Bureau member who discovered dangerous wildlife threatening the cattle on his farm. As a result, Kentucky Farm Bureau engaged in federal agencies to protect livestock in western Kentucky and across the state.
This time of year where it's very hot, I drove past one of our fields and I looked out. It appeared to be about 30 wild turkeys out in the field. And they were circling these calves, and I realized that these were not wild turkeys, but in fact black-headed vultures. Anytime you get a large flock of these black-headed vultures together, they become very aggressive and they start to prey upon live animals. Sometimes they would start on the afterbirth of a cow that had just had a calf, and then they would transition to a live animal. A significant problem for cattle producers, especially here in Western Kentucky. This bird is federally protected. It falls under the Migratory Bird Act. It was very difficult for producers who were having an immediate problem to be able to counter that by harvesting these birds, or at least doing something to harass them to get them out of the area. You can face civil penalties as well as criminal penalties with the United States federal government. There was a large, arduous process that you had to go through in order to get a permit, and it required the assistance of 2 federal agencies, both the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as well as USDA.
When counties submit resolutions at the local level, Kentucky Farm Bureau's grassroots process takes those seeds and sows them into state policy. Members can also submit resolutions on national topics with the potential to be adopted as a policy by the American Farm Bureau Federation. Once resolutions have become policy, our organization works tirelessly to see those policies implemented at every level of government.
It was suggested that we go through our county Farm Bureau and make the policy suggestion up to the state level, and that's what we did. Not only did Kentucky Farm Bureau have a mechanism to do this, but they listened to us. And they took it a step further and negotiated with the federal government, 2 agencies that are very large that we couldn't have done on our own as individual producers, to be able to have Farm Bureau be the facilitating agency. And they developed a reasonable and sensible process that made government work. It made it a lot simpler. The actual producer didn't have to reach out to both agencies and didn't have to be the go-between between both agencies. And I can tell you from experience, the Farm Bureau process is much easier to navigate, and it's much more responsive as far as time goes when you need to have that permit. Farm Bureau is represented in every county in Kentucky. And when you have 120 counties with one voice, not every commodity group can say that. And so it was very invaluable to us. We're certainly thankful, and other commodity groups that I'm a part of, we're certainly thankful for the leadership the Farm Bureau provided.
Implementing policy through the Kentucky Farm Bureau protects Kentucky farm families and rural communities now and in the future. We encourage our members to become engaged in policy development. Attend county meetings, join a committee, and advocate for issues most important to all of us. Together, we are the voice of agriculture, a force for good in making our Commonwealth stronger.